is up, everybody? My name is Dane Thompson. Welcome back to another episode of BurnDown. So today what we are doing is we're going to be installing and reviewing the fuel gauge for the Twinnebago. So as far as you guys know, this thing is getting really close, and I've got very good news for you. I've finally saved up enough money for registration. You know what that means? We actually legally get to roll this thing. That means I can go further. We can get on some roads with some higher speed limits, so I'm not, doing anything I shouldn't be doing with it. Although I don't have enough money yet for tires, so it's just one hurdle after another, and those are all the big ticket things. And it takes a while to get some of the big ticket items, but the tires on here are fine to just roll around at lower speeds. I don't think we're going to get on the highway or get it up to any real speed, like a highway speed or anything, but there's plenty of 30, 40, 50 mile an hour streets around, so we can really kind of shake this thing down, take it up and down some hills, and just really kind of see how it runs. All around here where I live is 25, so at 25 you're barely off idle. I mean, you're really not shaking anything down other than making sure cooling is working without really getting air through the radiator. So one thing that's important if we're actually going to drive around and get kind of further away from home is your fuel gauge. So I have a factory 2004 Avalanche fuel tank that I got from my buddy over at KP Fab. He had a Avalanche that was wrecked and they were taking the motor or something out of it. And I'm like, man, I need a fuel tank. So I looked under there and sure enough, the thing kind of fit with a little effort. We got it stuffed underneath here, and it has the factory basket and sending unit. And I've already wired it in when I did all the rest of the wiring. I've got the wire rolled up sitting right there underneath the dash. So now we just have to follow the instructions on this bad boy, hook it up, and I think it may even fit in place of the old gas gauge. And then the cool thing about this, what I'll show you guys, is you should just be able to select your ohms. So you just buy this, and it doesn't matter what your sending unit is, you just click the button, supposedly, until the thing works. And again, it was like 20 bucks on eBay. I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but as long as I have a needle in there that tells me you either have fuel or you don't, or you're getting close to low, that's really all I'm looking for. I don't care if it's dead on accurate. I just need to know, hey, it's time to look for a gas station, Dane. That's pretty much it. So let's get to it. We'll open this thing up, see what it comes with, and then hopefully it fits in one of the existing holes. Alright, fuel gauge, wire harness, instructions, that's it. Alright, here are the instructions. I am not well versed in Mandarin, but they also have it here in English, so we should be good to go. You know, it kind of comes down. They've listed, this is pretty much all I need to know. And then at some point, I think they tell you how to select all your different ohms. So here is a position and mark, and we will get to that. So what it does is, once you click it, depending on if it's on E, quarter tank, and so on, is the ohm range it's looking for. So default is 0 to 190, which I think I'm actually on here, the 240 to 33. So let's get to installing, see if this thing fits in place. If not, we'll modify it. And I think this thing looks pretty snazzy. And it's LED, so we can change colors. So we're going to have a rainbow party of colors on my fuel gauge. It's going to be awesome. Well, I thought that'd be a much longer time lapse, but I already have the screws out of this, which is kind of funny because I don't see them laying around. So I guess we're going to have to find those. I don't know what I did with them. Anyway, here's a look behind the dash. This is our fuel gauge here, which is that guy down there. So we'll just pull that out. Should be fairly simple. And a lot of these, we just clipped them all off. I mean, it's ugly back here, but it is what it is. So let's get to it. So there's our hole. Here's the old one, and then this is the new one. We look like we are money. So let's try to fit this boy. Moment of truth. Dun, da, da, da. Oh, look at that. So sweet. Other than this thing's like mega dirty. Bam. Look at that. Woo! We are in business. We are in business. Yeah, you just tighten this thing down the back by hand. Alright. So other than being a little dirty from the other bezel, that is it. We got a fuel gauge. Now we just have to hook that thing up, and we're gonna be rock and roll. Alright, so here are what the instructions say. Red is 9 to 32 volts, black signal input, orange is backlight plus, blue is backlight ground. So technically we just need the red and the input, which should be fairly straightforward, and then we can do the 3 and 4 for the light. So yeah, let's plug this in. I'll find those guys and then we'll see what the gauge says. Alright, well, I dug around a little bit, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, we got a little spaghetti going on. So I'm gonna cut a few things free. I gotta crawl underneath there, and I want to put that on the gauges to make it simple, so if stuff doesn't work, I know what's on gauges. So let me get under there and then do that. That way we can power it properly, so if I have an issue in the future, or somebody else does, well, if somebody else ever owns this, they're gonna just be pissed. They'll be like, man, that guy was an idiot. Look at all this hackery. All right, it is the moment of truth. We'll just hit the key. Oh, actually, first let's do this. Let's hit the parking light. Oh, not that one, this one. Okay, so that is doing nothing. That's awesome. Let's turn the key. Oh, look at that. That is rad. So it is not reading properly, but it is still reading nonetheless. Oh, and it does turn on. That's probably hard to see. So the little needle glows. Awesome. Okay, well, let's see if we can program it, and then we'll see what kind of fuel we got. So that is cool. So you have to have the key on in order for the backlight to work, which is kind of nifty, I guess. All right, so right here it says you hold the mode button for 3 seconds to enter setting mode, and the backlight flickering for a while. The needle point at E position, and then you can select the corresponding parameter by pushing the button down. So we are looking for full. So let's see. Pull this guy out. Yeah, I can't hold you guys and do this. Let's see if we can get it to do its thing. Alright, so there's a little button on the back. Turn the key. So it goes and does its deal. Hold this down. So it's E. Push it again. Alright, and then that's the deal we're looking for, and then I'll just leave it alone, I guess. There you go. That's more like the fuel I got in the Winnebago. Awesome. Little thing back over my little mode button. Sweet. So we got about a quarter tank in here, which makes sense. I put in 10 gallons and I had some. I was pretty much out of gas. And then we can add more fuel and then watch how it goes. But I'm cool. That's cool. And then the little light turns on. So at night we'll have to try this again and see how it lights up. But that is awesome. We have a fuel gauge. So I'm going to button up the rat's nest. That is it for today. So I would say I'll put a link to this guy in the description. For a cheap fuel gauge, typically the instructions are terrible on some of these things that you order. This was actually pretty good. I mean, for the most part, I could understand it. Hooked all the wires up, pushed a little button, and we look to be rock and roll. So I'm very excited to have a fuel gauge in here. We are one step closer. Now I need a horn. Bop, bop, bop. I have the thing hooked up. Maybe we'll search eBay for a horn. But that is it. This gas gauge is awesome. If my tank meter doesn't work properly, I might just get another one. So that way, when it's full, I can tell everybody the shitter is full. But that is it. So until next time, you guys like, subscribe, share, you know what to do. I'm out.